Yep. Think we up. I think we up. I think we up. All right, man. Let's get this thing going, man. I'm your instructor, Pierre Hui, aka Mr. P. The P is for patience. The P is also for pass your test. Okay. We are doing implements, tools, and equipment. Today is Thursday. I tend to break them up by the four sections associated with the CIB. If you've been studying me long enough, you will know the CIB stands for the Candidate Information Bulletin. If you have just started with me, the CIB, aka the Candidate Information Bulletin, is what they tell you the bulk of what they're looking for on your Barber test. Okay, so you shouldn't feel like you got to be in the dark about what to study when you first doing your study. When you first get your Barber book and you first start going through, a lot of times it looks like a monumental task because people are like, oh my God, it's like 850 pages worth of information. Where do I start? Well, the CIB is a great start. The CIB breaks it down into percentages. It breaks it down into 4%, in the four sections that are all broken down into percentages about what they're looking for. Now, what I tend to do is take Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I break it down too. So Monday is scientific concepts. Tuesday is hair care services. Wednesday is facial hair and skincare services. And Thursday, which we will be getting into today, is implements and equipment. Now, real quick, I'll give you the percentages. All right. Scientific concepts, 35%. Hair care services, 40%. Facial hair, skincare services, 15%, and implements and equipment, 10%. Now, here's what I usually recommend to anybody. Anytime you're doing studying for this, always revert to your CIB first. And the reason being, it'll give you an idea of how you can focus your studying. And it'll help you from just studying random stuff. If you notice, life skills ain't on there, shop management ain't on there. The Milady Barber book, which is what we studying from. This book has 23 chapters. It's about six or seven that none of the info from those chapters is in here. Now, you wouldn't know that unless you study your CIB, which again, I always recommend. So what we're going to do is publicly. So right now, this is all public consumption. This is all public content. This will be on YouTube, social media platforms, all that good stuff, TikTok, Facebook, what have you. Now, what I tend to do is start with the public study, and then I end up on virtual private study with the students that I have currently, which I am an owner and instructor at Olive and Barber School, which is in Lyman, South Carolina, upstate South Carolina, for those that don't know. Thank you. Renew. Thank you. Renew, please tell me how to pronounce your name, okay? I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Thank you. And thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. I got you when I get back on there. All my TikTok folks, y'all know how I go. Y'all see those icons next to my name. I'm a big gifter. I love giving gifts on TikTok. And I love giving likes. Like, if I get on your page, I'm at least going to give you 500 of them things. But anyway, so implements and equipment, we're going to have public study. And then I'm going to get off of social media, and I'm going to resume with my virtual private study. But before we do all that, let's get into it. Okay. Implements and equipment is 10%. 10% of the content of your barber theory test. Okay. Master hair care, registered barber. The percentages are the same to my knowledge. So you're looking at registered barber is 60 questions. Master hair care is 110. And I recommend all my students always do 110. So got part A, part B. Part A, identify, function, purpose, and care of tools used in hair services. And part B is understand and apply safety and sanitation practices for use of implements and equipment. Part A has 4 parts to it. 1, equipment. 2, implements. 3, supplies and materials. And 4, electrical tools. And B is just understanding and applying the safety and sanitation practices for everything that we talk about in A. Okay. So let's start off. Combs. Combs made from various materials, different shapes and sizes. Most of the combs used in hair cutting measure between 7 and 8 inches long with a shape that may be straight, tapered, or handled. The materials used in the construction of the comb, determine its characteristics or qualities. So hard rubber combs, slightly flexible and durable, but they can deteriorate if left in a disinfectant over an extended amount of time. I've seen that a bunch with my plastic combs because I leave them in Barbicide and forget about them. Combs made from carbon materials, anti-static, stiff, and heat and chemical resistant. Next, you got graphite combs, less rigid than carbon material combs and are heat and chemical resistant. And then you have metal combs. They can retain heat to help set in a hairstyle. Made from tempered aluminum or other metals, metal combs may corrode in reaction to chemicals such as hydrogen peroxide. All right. Now let's talk about comb styles a little bit. Given all the different types of combs available, the most appropriate or best comb to use ultimately depends on the procedure to be performed, the client's hair texture, and the barber's personal preference. So a styling, an all-purpose comb, usually constructed of both narrow and wide-spaced teeth, is used for general hair cutting and styling. Taper comb, used for cutting hair in those areas where a gradual blending of the hair is required. Flat handle comb is usually used for flat top styles and also an option to use in clipper over comb cutting. What else we got? A wide tooth comb used to control large amounts of hair, spread, relax a cream, detangle hair, or comb through curly hair textures. Let me see something real quick, y'all. Make sure my audio is what it needs to be on StreamYard. Sorry about that. Oh, okay, we good. Okay. All right, cool. Cool. Okay. Tail comb, best choice for sectioning longer hair or when making partings to create subsections, which will be like the practical that'll be coming up, which we'll start getting into as well on here. But for now, I need everybody that I'm dealing with, I need to make sure that y'all pass y'all theory test first because that's the hard part. All right. Hair pick, effective choice for combing through textured or tightly curled hair. Straight like that. Basic brushes. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 7 basic brushes. All right. You got the synthetic bristle, natural bristle, mixed bristle. It's basically a combination of the synthetic and natural. You got the paddle brush, the round brush, the Bennett brush, and the wet brush. The uses, most of them, the first 4, so synthetic, natural, mixed, bristle, and paddle brush. They're used for general brushing and detangling. The round brush creates volume and or curl when you blow dry and styling. So a lot of times if you see any of those videos where they want the hair to curl a certain way or curl here, and a lot of times you see more females that brush being used for females, but I've seen it used for males if they're doing a certain type of style, like say they got the fade on the side, but they got a lot of length up top and they're trying to get a certain look. I will see just as much of those round brushes being used just to get the hair in a flowing type of direction. All right, Bennett brush, general drying and styling work, and a wet brush is for detangling wet hair. All right, next, shears. Haircut and shears, one of the most important tools you'll use when performing barbering services. Therefore, your understanding of shears and your ability to select the right type, style, and size will fit you comfortably is vital to your future success as a barber. Listen, some of these guys that come in and get some of these higher price cuts, I can't say it enough. I cannot say it enough. You need a good pair of shears to get some of that work done. They pay very, very well. When I, like I said, if we're talking about shear work, a lot of times you're talking about fine hair up top and a length that's more than the length of the guards that allow. So anything past an 8 guard. So we talking 2 inches, 2.5 and higher, you dealing with shears. Ain't no way around it. So you need a good pair of shears to get the job done and to command that higher price because they will pay it and they'll tip you on top of it. Just something to think about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. My students that's some of my OJT students that got some clients that know what I'm talking about. Trust me, they'll tell you the same thing. That's when you start making some money, okay? All right, so you got 2 types. You got cast shears, you got forward shears. Cast shears made by heating steel to a liquid form for pouring into a mold. Forged shears are made by working heated metal into a finished shape through the process of hammering or compression. Just think of, you know how you see those blacksmiths, they'll make a sword. It's the same thing. That's a forward shear. So naturally, forward shears cost more, but they operate better and they have a longer shelf life. Okay. The forward shear may be constructed in 1 or 2 pieces and is more durable. Like I said, stays sharp longer and is of higher quality than a cast shear. Let me see. Okay, who is that? Hang on. Okay. Okay, I got you. I got you. We'll get into that later. Okay. All right. Shear blades. You have the moving blade, the steel blade, moving point, the steel point. Easy to remember. The cutting edges. That's easy to remember as well. You just have to know that it's there, right? It only makes sense if you got blades that are cutting, they have cutting edges. Where do they cut? Towards the inside build of the blade. Okay. That's a gimme. You got the pivot screw. That's why they able to move in the first place. You got the finger brace, the finger grip, the thumb grip, and the shank. Those are the basic parts of your shears. Okay. When they ask a question about implements, tools, and equipment, if it's anything dealing with shears, all you got to do is just break it down into, is it the part? It's three main parts: the blades, the pivot, and where the fingers go as far as the braces. All right, either finger grips or the finger brace. The finger brace is where your pinky goes, that holds your pinky. It holds your pinky. It keeps your hand and your wrist from hurting. Okay. The ergonomic grip, if that's what you want to call it. But yeah, so basically you have the top part where you have the finger braces and the grips, the pivot, and the pivot is just the center point where everything moves. And then you got the blades. So you can derive an educated guess from there if they ever ask about the shears. All right. Now, one thing to know about the shears, though, let's talk about the grind. The grind refers to the inside construction of the blade and the way it is cut in preparation for sharpening and polishing. The flat grind is traditionally associated with beveled shears, while hollow ground blades typically is a feature of convex shears. There are also shear designs with replaceable blades that eliminate the need for sharpening, even though I haven't seen those. I would love to see those. I always need my, listen, if I could sharpen my blades every day, I would. Okay. Let's see. Blade edges. Cutting edges may be convex, beveled, or semi-convex in design. And the only thing you just need to know about those of a convex blade, it's got like a clamshell or a half moon shape, and the inside is concave or hollow ground. A bevel edge means there's an angle on the cutting surface of the blade itself. Bevel edges can be plain ground with smooth, polished, or razor edge surfaces. Beveled shears usually have one plane and one corrugated or a serrated blade. And then a semi-convex blade consists of a convex blade that has a bevel ground onto the blade edge. This design reduces production costs and extends the time in between sharpening. Okay. Anything else we need to talk about as far as the shears? No, not so much. Now we're going to go into a derivative of the shears, which are texturizing, thinning, and blending shears. They are designed with blades that have teeth of different types of width and distances between them. The wider the spacing of the teeth, the more hair is removed during cutting. The greater the number of teeth, the more finely the hair strands can be cut without leaving noticeable cut marks. Although the terms texturizing shears, thinning shears, and blending shears tend to be used interchangeably within the industry, there are some differences in their design. But a lot of times it's just the teeth and the Smith or Holly, what's happening? Sometimes the difference is just with either the teeth, the amount of teeth, the spacing with the teeth themselves, or just where the finger grip and the finger brace may be. That's about it, though. All right. Holding the shears is pretty self-explanatory, but we'll talk about it a little bit. So you got palming the shears, palming the comb. For safety, shears need to be closed and resting in the palm while you comb the hair. This is called palming the shears. Transferring the comb to the opposite hand after combing to facilitate hair cutting is called palming the comb. To palm the shears, slip your thumb out of the thumb grip, simply pivot the shears into the palm of your hand. Now, as far as transferring and palming the comb, once the shears have been palmed, hold the comb between the thumb and first two fingers of the same hand to comb through the hair. After the hair section has been combed, transfer the comb into the palm of the opposite hand between the thumb and the base of the index finger. So what happens is you allow the first two fingers of that hand to be free to control the hair, while the shears hand is free to cut the hair section. When you see this in practice, it makes a lot of sense. It's one of those things that you take it for granted once you learn it, but it's ridiculously important. It's so important. Especially when you're doing something like the practical and you're doing the haircutting part in the practical, that's one of the things they're going to be looking at. Like that goes under protecting your client, how you palm the shears, how you palm the comb, because you might not think about it until you do it. But here's the thing, you could easily cause certain types of harm to your client. You dealing with, remember, sharp blades. You're still dealing with sharp blades, whether you have more control of them or not, you still have them in your hand and you still have them in the close vicinity of your clients. So there is, even if it's a small amount of danger there, because of your sense of professionalism and experience, is still there that something can happen with those blades. So they're going to be looking for, do you know how to palm the shears? Do you know how to palm the comb? Do you know how to safely comb the hair and cut the hair without putting your client in any type of jeopardy, even if it's just a small chance of it? That's something that they'll take off or give you major points for us, though. So palming the shears and palming the comb are something to think about. Okay. All right. See, clippers and outliners, two of the very most important tools used in barbering. They are my lifeline. Okay. Clippers can be used for a variety of cutting techniques, from blending to texturizing. Outliners, also known as trimmers or edgers, are essential tools for finish and detail work. Today's barber got a vast array of clipper styles from which to choose. Function, style, weight, contour, power, and single speed or 2-speed options are just some of the factors that should be considered when purchasing a clipper. And I've had this question a million times. Let me tell you about some of the clippers that I really like. When it comes to, let's start with clippers. When it comes to clippers, I like the Wall brand. I like Wall because I like their guards. It's something about their guards that they perform their function. My favorite version of the Wall adjustable clippers are the Legends. I like the what's the other ones? The Seniors. I like the Seniors a lot. I tend to be a bigger fan of the corded versus the non-corded, and the reason being is because sometimes the cordless, after you've had them for a while, they tend to get louder and louder and louder, and that motor gets to the point where it still operates at a good level, but it just doesn't maintain that power that it had when you first got them. So 2-3 years after having them, it tends to have a certain level of power that is just like, all right, it's time to either get another pair or get um get another pair or get a different blade, whichever one helps it work better. Okay. And a lot of times I'm more of, all right, I'm probably going to end up getting another pair because it just didn't maintain that same power and didn't loud as hell. All right. But as far as adjustable clippers, I'm a bigger fan of the Walls, particularly the Legends. Now I do like Andy's Pro Alloy series. Those are very powerful. I really like those. Those are corded as well. But the thing about it is, I repeat, I am not a fan of Andy's guards. Let me say that one more time. I am not a fan of Andy's fucking guards. That's how I feel about them damn guards. One more time. Okay. But Andy's Pro Alloys, fantastic. You get the stamp of approval. Now, while we talking about Andy's though, them damn trimmers though, give me the old school gray Andy's T outliner trimmers. I need those. I have 5 pair of the same trimmers because they're that good. Okay. The corded kind. The cordless are good. The cordless are catching up as far as their output, as far as their effectiveness, but nothing beats that level of power that you have with the corded Andy's T outliners. Seconded only by the cordless, seconded only by Andy's outliners. But you might wonder what the difference is. The blade. So basically the orientation of the blade is Okay, I think we back. All right. But yeah, visible parts of a clipper vary depending on whether the unit is detachable blade clipper or an adjustable blade clipper. Most of the time I use adjustable blade clippers, but those detachable blade clippers are dope. Oster has a detachable blade clipper that I really like. What's up, Tip? What's happening? All right. Some detachable clipper models have separate oil reservoirs and carbon brush cover screws that are accessible at the side of the unit. Others do not. At the minimum, the visible parts of a detachable clipper are the detachable steel and moving blade assembly, on-off switch, hanger loop, and conducting cord. The visible parts of a typical adjustable blade clipper are the cutting blade, the steel blade, the heel, the on-off switch, blade adjustment lever, set or power screw, hanger loop, and the conducting cord. They're driven by one of three basic motor types. You have the rotary, the pivot, or the magnetic. Okay. Magnetic, it put me in the mind of Andy's Masters. I like Andy's Masters, but I just feel like that all metal design, when it get hot, it's time to put them up. Okay. But they do cut really well. They do have a lot of power, and that goes for the cordless or the corded. I like both of them. They're a good fit, but again, once they start heating up, man, you have to set them down for a little bit to let them cool down, because the whole damn blade, from the whole clipper to the blade itself, all of it get hot because of the design. But they run off of a magnetic motor, which is really, really good. I'm a fan of it. That's not my favorite. Rotary. So the rotary motors, think Babyliss, basically most of their product line. Definitely the Babyliss trimmers are rotary driven. They're cool. They're not my favorite, but that's just personal preference. Babyliss are very, 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 very popular. Okay, the clippers and the trimmers, very, very popular. But most of them run off rotary. Now, pivot is my favorite. So the recent ones I just told you about, all of those clippers and trimmers that I told you that I like, they run off of pivot. Pivot tends to have more power to them. Okay. Let's talk about what's the difference between the three. So rotary, the power is high. Pivot, the power is high. Magnetic, the power is a little bit less than high. Okay. We'll say medium high. Look, if it was like temperatures on stoves, it would be like medium high. Okay. The blade speed, rotary is high. The blade speed of pivots are lower, and the blade speed of magnetics are high. Characteristics, rotary, heavy duty use, more frequent replacement of parts. Hair types, all types damp or dry. That's a good thing to think about. If you know you're working with dry and wet hair types a lot, rotary might be a better fit for you as far as like choosing clippers. If you don't have an idea of where to start as far as like clippers and things like that. Pivot, the blades are pulled in both directions, and they are quiet and cool running. Them Andy's trimmers I was just telling you about, they are very quiet and cool running. I have some that I know more than 7 years, and they still are just as quiet and cool running. The only thing I have to make sure I do is just get new blades for it, clean out the motor, just make sure all the excess hair ain't in there, just clean them out pretty good, and we good to go. All right. Hair types, thick, coarse, or damp hair. A lot of the pivot clippers that I've dealt with, yeah, they not damp hair, not so much. Damp hair, not so much. Remember we talked about shears? Get you a good pair of shears. You start dealing with damp hair. All right. Magnetic. Power is reliable, blade speed high. Characteristics, alternating spring and magnet mechanism, pulls blade in one direction, and long lasting. Hair types, tapering and general cutting, dry cutting on fine textures. I will definitely agree with that assessment. Okay. Just something to think about. All right. What else we got here? All right. For the public study, we are going to stop there. For my private virtual study, if y'all are still here, we're going to get into the high percentage concepts, and we're going to get into the questions. Okay. But everybody else, you need to find me. You can find me everywhere at Pierre Huey, Pierrehouey. Okay. You can find me on all social media platforms. All right. Also, if you are anybody that you know is having trouble with their barber test, okay? Matter of fact, y'all do this for me. So I know a lot of y'all nosy, meaning when you walk in the shop, you looking for who got their license and who don't, right? The next time y'all go in the shop and y'all see somebody that ain't got no license, you ain't necessarily got to be all in their face about it, but just say, hey, man, you need to get your license. The biggest thing that's holding people back from getting their license is not the practical. It is the barber theory. The barber theory is the biggest thing holding people back from getting their license, holding barbers back from getting their license. I can't tell you how many people I know that's been cutting 10 years, 15 plus years, and all they need to do is knock these two tests out. The tougher one of the two is the barber theory for a lot of people in my industry, okay? I can help with that. So you just let them know they can find me, PIERREHOUEY, aka Mr. P. The P is for patience, and pass your test. Okay. I'm gonna see y'all soon. Virtual private study. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be